FM 92.7 live from our studio here at Kpandai in Accra. Coming up this evening, founding member of the new Patriotic Party, Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe, challenges the leadership of the NPP to go ahead with its intention to expel Professor Frimpong-Boateng. We'll have details of that for you in a moment. Also coming up, the Auditor-General raises alarm over an increasing level of weapons and ammunitions intercepted at Ghana's airports as of 2024. Plus, the Supreme Court has set Wednesday, the 28th of January, to rule on the application by Member of Parliament for Kpandai, Matthew Nyindam, to quash the decision of the Tamale High Court. But before the details of these, let's bring you the news summaries.
Founding member of the new Patriotic Party, NPP, Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe, has dared the party to sack him and two other founding members if they expel former Minister for Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, Professor Frimpong-Boateng, from the NPP. The party's General Secretary, Justin Kodia Frimpong, has said the party has initiated internal processes to expel the former minister. This comes after what the party described as disparaging remarks made by Professor Frimpong-Boateng against its leadership and internal structures in an interview. Now, the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment has directed all teachers in possession of hard copies of the SHS Physical Education and Health Teachers Manual to return them immediately. Now, the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment Board Chairman, Professor Vincent Asamfo, explained that a comprehensive review of the curriculum is underway, covering education from the basic to the secondary level to ensure it aligns with Ghanaian values while maintaining educational integrity. The Bese District Court has fixed February 7, 2026 to rule on whether Frederick Kumi, popularly known as social media as Abu Trika, should be discharged from ongoing extradition proceedings initiated by the request of the United States government over alleged fraud-related offenses. Abu Trika was famed for flaunting an extravagant lifestyle online, is wanted by U.S. authorities for allegedly defrauding victims by false pretense. He was arraigned before the courts under Ghana's Extradition Act 1960 Act 22 to determine whether he should be surrendered to stand trial in the United States. Finally, Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman has called on the private sector to support the government's free sanitary pad initiative, highlighting its role in keeping girls in school and protecting their dignity. Speaking during a meeting with the leadership of Sunda Group, producers of soft care sanitary pads, on January 13, the Vice President praised the company for its contributions to the program and urged more businesses to join the effort. These are all on our website. Again, 3news.com. Martin, over to you.
Thank you very much. The comments are also very welcome, and we are streaming this bulletin on Facebook and on YouTube. So do let us know what your thoughts are. And the big one has to do with what's happening on the political front, where founding member of the new Patriotic Party, Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe, has dared the party to sack him and two other founding members if they expel former Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, Professor Frimpong-Boateng, from the NPP. The former Environment Minister, Professor Frimpong-Boateng, is on the verge of being expelled from the party if investigations establish that he was in contravention of the NPP's constitution. The founding member has since challenged the party to go ahead with its intention to expel Professor Frimpong-Boateng, defending his remarks, which he made earlier in the media. I had an interview with him earlier, so let's listen to what exactly Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe had to say about the threat to expel Professor Frimpong-Boateng from the NPP. Right, you are an elder of the party. A colleague elder or a fellow elder is on the brink of being expelled from the party. I'm sure you've heard what must have led to this. What will your initial thoughts be on this development?
I listened carefully to my colleague, Professor Frimpong-Boateng, yesterday in that interview, and I'll say, without fear, that I agree with him entirely. All the points that he raised are issues that are really worrying the party. Now, what I'll say at this stage is that if they sack Frimpong-Boateng, then they should sack me. They should sack Kwame Tianim. they should sack Dr. Asa Kennedy and quite a normal office. Now, this party was formed by Democrats. Listen to me carefully. By Democrats. Those I mentioned, including myself, we are not even the founding fathers. We are founding members. But people like B.J. Darocha, people like Professor Edubuain, people like Peter Ala Ajete, people like Sami Odoi-Sais, people like Stephen Kreku, people like Bikai of Kumasi, people like B.K. Adama, people like Sarifu Ibrahim, people like Tolona Yakubu Tali, all those I have mentioned, the only person surviving now is Odoi-Sais. These people will turn in their graves. And whoever in NPP now thinks he can sack Frimpong-Boateng should try it. They should try it. The party is now in hands of looters. They have not performed well. They came to power through thievery. We all know it.
Right.
We all know it. And if they are going to continue to disturb the party, then they should know that some of us are ready for them.
Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe, the concern the party is raising is that if he is a member, he probably should not be calling the same party fake. And that even if he disagrees, there probably are channels he could use to express his disagreement or his grievance. And for that reason, they think they would want him out. You say you totally agree with what Professor Frimpong-Boateng said. How then do you take the bit about he describing the party as fake?
Look, Frimpong-Boateng is not a kid. Frimpong-Boateng academically is very solid. Frimpong-Boateng is a man of integrity. He's a hard-working person. Frimpong-Boateng knows how to choose his words. And if he says the party is fake, he knows why he says so. And if I were them, they would have come a quiet discussion with him before coming out the way they came. This shows clearly that the party is on its way to destruction. And some of us, including my very self, we shall make sure that these destroyers are rather removed from the party, so that the party that was formed by men of integrity will survive.
Doc, my last two questions before you take leave of us. We'll look at the bit of your submission where you said if they dare or if they want to, they should sack him and we'll see what will happen. Would you also, resign from the party or get the elders to leave the party? What is it that you think could happen if they attempt? Now they are looking forward to doing that. If they do sack him, what would happen?
I will never resign from Patriotic Party because we were there before those of them in office now came. We respected leadership and hierarchy. We did. We understudied these giants who have passed. And when you talk about sacking somebody, then you must know exactly what you are talking about. The party, as I said earlier, was a party founded on the principle of freedom and justice, on the principle of democratic dispensation, on the free principle of free discussion.
Okay.
If Frimpong-Boateng has said that the party is fake, he has not insulted anybody. He's saying exactly what or how he finds the party. And I don't see anything wrong with that.
Right. And my final question, Doc, will be, so how do we resolve this? The parties are looking at a January 31 primary, a lot of political activities happening within the rank and file of the party. This seems to be a distraction. How do you think the party can resolve it going forward?
Now, to begin with, initially, some of us told them that the plan they have adopted will be a failure. I said it personally, because they should have started the other way around. You don't pick the leader of the party when you have lost so heavily in a national election. What you do is that you come to the grassroots and mobilize the people. Explain to them what brought this total failure. And as a having mobilized the people at the grassroots, you think about leadership right down from the grassroots up to who leads the party. They are doing the other way. I said it will be a failure, and mark my words, this is the way to destruction of this great party. But some of us will not allow it to happen.
And you heard the voice of Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe, who is a founding member of the New Patriotic Party. Meanwhile, political analysts say the matter is a case of double responsibility for both the old and new generations of the party to resolve the matter for the sanctity of the NPP. There's more in this report. Right, we'll bring you that report in subsequent bulletins. But let's go to the phone lines now and speak to Dr. Bensuglo Alidu Bukari, who is a political scientist at the University of Development Studies. Good evening, Doc, and thank you for your time.
Good evening to you. Good evening to your listeners. And thank you for having me on this program this evening.
Great. The Honorable Professor Frimpong-Boateng, from what we are being told, only sought to state what he thought was the problem with the party. Main case in point is the fact that he believes the current crop of leaders do not seem to align with the tenets that set up the party. And upon expressing this thought, the party is threatening to sack him. As a political watcher yourself, how does this come to you?
Thank you. Very good question. Yeah, so for me, watching events from without is very worrying. And let me say this. Democracy survives through political parties. In fact, parties are vehicles of democracy. And so MPP is one of such political parties in Ghana, and of course, a great party that has served this country or won election and then ruled the country. And so from Professor Frimpong-Boateng coming out with such statement, for me, it's a worry development. And I think something is not adding up. Of course, you can see, even I just listened to his Honorable Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe said that all is not well. It's the party that he's, wasted all his time to build and all that. That is a big problem. For me, it's a worrying situation. And we need MPP as a very strong party to challenge the ruling political party in any election. So we don't want to see MPP collapse. That is the problem that I have with that statement.
You mean the statement with what Professor Frimpong-Boateng said? You have an issue with
he said, very good. So to better answer your question, I think he's an insider of the party, and of course he belongs to the tradition of the MPP. A former minister, of course. I think he served both Kufuor government, if I can remember, and then His Excellency Nanado government, both as a minister, isn't it, right? So if such a person is coming out with that criticisms, then fundamentally everything is not, adding up. Something is not right. I don't see his comment also attacking the ideology of the political party MPP per se, but rather I think listen to Dr. Tamakloe. It means that the current practices and then sort of politics within MPP is what I think his comment is against. I also believe that the kind of dominance of money, if I may put it that way, the patronage and the factionalism interest within the party, following the election in 2020, the defeat of the NPP in the 2020 election. Also, why will you want to, build a party from the top? So every party survives on its structure. So I believe that, as he said, they should have started from the grassroots level and build the structure. So I think the comment of the professor is one of those issues that I think is raising, and also the weakening principle of the same party that he belongs, the tradition. And so there's also lack of merit-based kind of thing in MPP if watching events from without, and then fundamentally say something is missing. The internal accountability is not what we see during Kufuor time. And so, and even when Akufo-Addo took over, we saw the creeping in a whole lot of sort of behavior within the party that is not also adding up to the tradition of which the party NPP was formed. So I think the professor comment is not attacking the ideology per se, but the happening. But of course, I also have a problem with that. Why will you even come out to make such a comment that the party that you form as fake? Fake in which sense? What have you put in, forward and they rejected? So he should have let us know these are the suggestions that he made to the party, and the party is not buying into his ideas. Then Ghanaian would have, sort of like, okay, well, this is what you. So for you coming out, you don't have to always paint the party, problems. What are the solutions? What did you say? What did you suggest the party and they are not taking? That is what Ghanaians are not getting from the statement.
Right.
But
so Doc,
understanding is like he's not attacking the ideology, but what the happening in the party is what he's against.
Right.
So if that's the case, what is it also bringing on board? What's my issue with it?
Amongst other things, the professor touched on the seeming disconnect or the fact that there isn't a place you can actually go and make your case if you have issues to share or concerns are raised about the party. He believes that the current crop are totally delinked from the ideals that set up the party. And if you listen to Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe, he said he totally agreed with what Professor Frimpong-Boateng had said, and they did not think that sacking him from the party was the solution to the concerns he was raising, and rather the party should be even opening its doors to such opposing views so they can then amicably resolve it. Is that the position you think the party should consider?
No, I think I agree to in fact, I don't agree to the position of sacking the professor based on the comment that he said. I rather agree to the suggestion made by Tamakloe. Well, you don't sack somebody who is coming out with a view that you don't think you agree with him or you agree to the suggestions. That is not the way to build a political party. Rather, you should accommodate those divergent views and then move forward. So rather, I think I'll go with those suggestions, and against the sacking, I would think the party should reconcile, and then rescind their decision of dismissing the professor, and rather inviting him to submit a sort of proposal, what he thinks the party should be. What are his understanding of the current happening. What do you think, what he thinks the party should do? But I think the current chairman or the general secretary should rather invite the professor to the table to discuss issues that he thinks are worrying. And in fact, the sacking is rather inviting public to see NPP as not a serious party, NPP which is not from the way he put it. So inviting public to other see a party in a different way is also worrying. So I would suggest to the leadership of the party to rather rescind their decision of sacking him and rather invite him to submit a sort of proposal that he thinks the party should, like what my father Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe said. So I think the idea sacking him is not the way to go. I agree to his suggestion that we should rather build what is wrong. Let's correct what is wrong rather than dismissing people based on what they said about the party.
Right. Doc, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts on this subject.
Thank you.
We've been speaking to Dr. Asiedu-Dartey Bukari, who is a political scientist at the University of Development Studies, and he's been sharing his thoughts, just like we are expecting you to do same, on the subject of the NPP's threat. Currently, it is a threat that they would kick out Professor Frimpong-Boateng for some comments they think is disparaging to the image of the party. And amongst other things, they say if investigations finally do prove that he has done something untoward to the Constitution or something which is at variance with the Constitution, they are definitely going to be kicking him out of the party, a position which Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe disagrees with, and he says that everything Professor Frimpong-Boateng put out, he agrees with and believes that they are supposed to be signposts for the NPP to ponder upon and see how they can better change their ways and get things done the right way, especially if they do want to come back to power anytime soon. But your thoughts are very welcome. We are streaming on Facebook and also on YouTube. Just look for 3FM 92.7 and you can be a part of this conversation. And some messages have started coming in. We'll read some of them to the rest of the world while we try and get other connections. There have been major reactions to this. Even persons who are not necessarily aligned politically are also sharing their thoughts, talking about the credentials of Professor Frimpong-Boateng and why they think the party should not even consider outing him or kicking him out of the party. We'll let you know how all of this plays out in the coming days. Let's now take you to the courts, because the Supreme Court has set Wednesday, the 28th of January 2026, to rule on the application by Member of Parliament for Kpandai, Matthew Nyindam, to quash the decision of the Tamale High Court. The NDC parliamentary candidate for Kpandai, Daniel Nsala Wakpal, filed an election petition which resulted in the annulment of Nyindam's election. But lawyers of the NPP MP are challenging the High Court's decision and have filed a certiorari at the Supreme Court. Lawyers for Matthew Nyindam on Tuesday, January 13, prayed the Supreme Court to overturn the Tamale High Court's decision on grounds that the NDC Kpandai parliamentary candidate filed his petition on January 25, 2025, after the 21-day mandatory period. One of the lawyers for Nsala Wakpal, Roxanne Nelson Dapamepo, spoke to the media.
The matter has been adjourned to, I believe, Wednesday, 28th of January for a decision. And now, we believe in the wisdom of the Supreme Court, so we know that justice will be done. You must look at conduct of the parties in the matter. This is a case that the applicant or the respondent in this matter, the second interested party, the applicant in the petition case in Tamale, didn't sleep on his rights. When the Electoral Commission was refusing to issue gazette notifications, after 2 weeks, when the elections were held on the 7th, and by the 23rd, time was running, so we went to court. Nobody can blame somebody who goes to seek a judicial remedy. So where public documents are made available in court and they are brought to your attention, you have a duty under law to observe the terms of those public documents. Today they say that they are online publications, but they were not online publications. Those were the same documents they brought to Parliament. In fact, on the 6th of January, that was the document that the clerk relied on to swear me, Dr.Tamakloe, in as a member of Parliament, the 9th Parliament. As a result of which, we proceeded to elect the Speaker of Parliament. So that was the document that gave rights to every party who was aggrieved in the matter. But we know that the court will do equity, will do justice in the matter. So we'll return on the 28th to hear the decision of the court. So until then, we want to urge everyone to stay calm. Our people in Kpandai should keep working. As for us, we keep working. They should keep working.
And that is Roxanne Nelson Dapamepo, who is one of the lawyers for the NDC's candidate in the Kpandai election of 2024. And he has said that they are all looking forward to the January 28 ruling, which is next week, Wednesday, when the court will decide the fate of whether Matthew Nyindam remains as Member of Parliament for Kpandai or otherwise. And let's now speak to Christopher Amoakon to gauge the mood of the constituents ahead of or after this second adjournment, probably even a third adjournment of a case that they are all sitting on tenterhooks to hear. Chris, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening, Martin, and thank you for having me.
What's the reaction? I'm sure many were expecting some final decision on the Kpandai constituency case, but we all were served with another adjournment. What do they make of it?
Yes, exactly, Martin. A majority of the people within the Kpandai constituency were expecting the Supreme Court to bring finality to the whole Kpandai parliamentary election issue. Unfortunately, today, the Supreme Court had to adjourn again to January 28th. There are growing concerns amongst residents, anxiety setting in because they don't even know whether on the 28th the Supreme Court will actually deliver a ruling on that, because they feel the Supreme Court had indicated that today, 13th, it will deliver a ruling. Unfortunately, that did not happen. So they are uncertain whether on the 28th the ruling will be delivered. For them, the continuous delay in making a determination on the Kpandai issue is also affecting development, because right now, if on the 28th there is another adjournment, it means that they still do not have an MP, which is affecting development. So all they are seeking is for the Supreme Court to fast-track this particular matter so that they will know whether they are going for a rerun or the MP is staying. But for the majority of them, they believe that reruns and by-elections bring development. And so once there's the need for a rerun or to happen in Kpandai, they believe that they will also get their needed share of the development.
So how were they, what were their initial thoughts when this subject came up? Was it that they thought that the decision of the NDC candidate to take it to court in itself was belated, as the Kpandai MP is now challenging in court?
Yeah, so for them, they believe that right from the beginning, when the NDC parliamentary candidate took the matter to the Tamale High Court, they believe that it was in the right direction because it was in conformity to democratic principles. Others also believe that it was unnecessary because the figures that were in contention, if we're looking at the 41 polling stations, it meant that the NDC MP should have actually accepted defeat, because in the 2020 elections, they believe that the NPP candidate by then, Nyindam, accepted defeat when the NDC man was announced. They are saying that, a cross-section of them are saying that Insala Wakpal should have also given Nyindam the opportunity to go, so that they will also see what he will be able to do after coming back again. For them, everybody is touting John Mahama to be doing good, well in government. They believe that once Matthew lost and has come back again, he will also be able to do something better. But the argument for some of them is that, look, Matthew Nyindam does not have a father in the house, that is to say the presidency. So if Wakpal is given the opportunity, should there be a rerun, when he goes, his government is in power, he'll be able to meet ministers, meet heads of institutions and agencies to be able to lobby development. They believe that right about now, Matthew is not in position to be able to influence development to Kpandai, hence the need for a rerun in the constituency.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. And I'm sure you've been speaking to some of the constituents. Let's listen to, at least they express their thoughts as well. Christopher Marco is our correspondent who's been following this Kpandai election issue for us. He actually engaged a number of the constituents, and these were their thoughts.
Rerun. With the Supreme Court adjournment, we pray and hope that they should try to speed up. They should try to speed up with their verdict. As it stands now, we don't know whether on the 28th that they have adjourned to, whether they will come out with a final ruling or they will still adjourn it to another date.
For now, whether MP or not MP, at the moment, the parliament is not in session. They are on break. But we think that by the time that parliament will resume, I think the Supreme Court might have come out with their final ruling.
They were saying on this day, on the 13th, the Supreme Court will sit on it. But we had a rumor that they postponed to 28th of this month. So all this is delayed under development. So we are very worried about that. We don't have an MP. So the Supreme Court should do very fast about it so that we know how we can do.
My home is, I'm worried because but today I was thinking that maybe before I will come from farm, they will declare everything. But when I came, they said they postponed the date again. I was not happy. I was not happy at all. So they have to take and know what they'll do about it.
And you heard some constituents of Kpandai speaking to our correspondent Christopher Amwako there, expressing what they thought was going to be an early verdict today has been postponed again. So they just have to wait an extra week, which is Wednesday, the 28th of January, to get to know whether the member of parliament, the current one, who is Matthew Nyindam of the New Patriotic Party, will remain as their MP for the next 3 years, or there is the likelihood of another by-election. That decision will be made by the court next week, and trust your election command center to update you going forward. The Auditor-General has raised alarm over an increasing level of weapons and ammunition intercepted at Ghana's airport in 2024, a situation that has necessitated stricter weapon declaration laws by the Airport Company Limited for safety of travelers. The 2024 Auditor-General report reveals that over 2,000 unlicensed weapons and ammunition were confiscated at the port in 2024 alone, causing a troubling concern for travelers. Ranking member on the Public Accounts Committee, Samuel Atamils, sought answers earlier today.
We are talking about Terminal 2, not Terminal 3 now. Those are the local flights. Yes. Local flights, Terminal 2.
Yes, please.
Okay, so you disclose it to the airport security?
Yes, please.
Okay, and then they will help you register it, right?
Yes, please.
And then they will secure it. I want the general public to know the procedure. That is all.
All right. Just a moment. I'll defer to our Director of Aviation Security, and he'll go through the procedure with you.
So, Honorable Chairman, the procedure is that when you arrive at the airport with your weapon, you want to travel with a weapon, we check whether you have a license for the weapon. If you have the license for the weapon, then now we will assist you to be able to carry the weapon on board. If you don't have a license, then we will confiscate the weapon, hand it over to National Investigations Bureau for them to take it up from there. But if you also don't declare to us, and then we detect it by screening, we will also confiscate it and then hand it over to NIB.
So, okay, all right.
Thank you, Chair. I want to find out the assistance that you offer to people carrying weapons. How is that assistance? Is it that they are allowed to board the aircraft with a weapon, or you take it and conceal them at a designated area and give it to them when they alight?
Chair, like I earlier on said, when you declare your weapon to the airport security, they will assist you by taking it from you. They have containers or they have packs where they will put it after the trip. Then you will come back to them, and then they will now hand it over to you. That is when you are done with the services in the airport. But if you fail, they will now confiscate it and hand it over to NIB for necessary actions.
Chair.
And those are some of the responses that the leadership of the Ghana Airport Company, which is an agency under the Ministry of Transport, gave to the Public Accounts Committee earlier today when they met the committee. The head of aviation security then outlined the procedure for one to declare their weapons upon arrival, and the question that was posed to them was, what happens if, for instance, an individual gets to the airport and they have a weapon? Two things: if the person is licensed to carry that weapon, he declares it, then take note of it, and then put it in a pack, before the person boards. And then when the person disembarks or gets off the aircraft, the weapon is handed back to them. But the Minister of Transport also spoke and said that in cases where the person carrying the weapon does not declare it, it is confiscated and handed to the National Investigations Bureau. But they failed to tell what then happens to the individual who is carrying the weapon. So let's listen to the head of aviation security again, trying to give clarity to that concern.
Just carrying weapons. Does it mean that they allow them to board the plane with their weapons?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Currently, we have a directive from Civil Aviation, who is the operator, the regulator of the aerodromes in Ghana. And the directive indicates that a person commits an offense if that person carries a weapon or ammunition into an aerodrome or an aircraft for the purpose of traveling without the relevant authorization or declaration to an air operator. So if you do not have the requisite license, you are not allowed to travel with a weapon. And so currently that is in place. Subsequent to that occurrence, there was no law or no act in place.
So then they could carry their weapons?
At that time, yes, please.
Wow.
On the flight?
On the flight.
Chair, what happened was that anytime you were in the airport with a weapon, it was taken to a different apartment, not with you, till you alight that the weapon will be given back to you. So those were the arrangements. But now, we now have direct instructions indicating what should happen when you have a weapon with you at the airport.
So if you have a weapon with you at the airport, what happens?
So if you have a weapon currently, you have to declare it.
Okay.
Once you declare it and it's licensed, you are able to travel with it. If it is not licensed, we confiscate it and send it to National Investigation Bureau.
What if it's licensed, but you haven't declared it?
If it's not declared, we still confiscate.
You see, on paragraph 1112, the auditor said we recommended to management to promptly develop and implement a comprehensive policy regarding passengers carrying weapons. This policy should outline strict guidelines and procedures for screening and handling passengers with weapons to ensure safety and security of all individuals within the airport. So, you have a weapon, you have licensed it. When you get to the airport, what should you do?
You disclose it that you are carrying a license.
Whom will you disclose it to?
To the Aviation Security Department of the airport.
Right, so let's now speak to Richard Kumado, who is a security analyst himself. And clearly, this is a subject that falls in your purview, Mr. Kumado. We know that as a service officer, there are times you carry these weapons either for protection or if you are detailed to someone and you are the security officer, you have a certain level of permission to carry it. But the concern being raised here before the committee is, do they have the right to carry the arms on board onto the flight? What are your thoughts on this and the responses they've given?
No, it's a simple procedure. I don't know whether it's being violated. And from what we are hearing, there's a need to restart this conversation all over again. It might not necessarily be security officers working for the state, but it might also include people who come into our country who, by necessity, might be allowed to come in with weapons. The standard procedure is that you declare your weapon, not just at the airport, but even if I move from one community to the other, I need to go to the police station and declare my weapon and tell the police, this is whom I am, and I have a weapon. And if they want me to have the weapon with me, they will, if I'm able to persuade them why I needed to be where I am. I don't think violation of this simple procedure, recorrecting it and realigning it should be a major issue for us as a nation.
But so this actually came up, and if you look at the reaction of the chair of the committee, or one of the leadership of the committee, that's Samuel Atamils, he expressed quite some shock when he was told that individuals or security personnel who are licensed to carry these arms actually take it on board. Has that always been the standard procedure, or you declare and then?
Let me give you an example. These are not things we discuss on there, but you are my brother, Martin, so you want to cause trouble this evening. you know, sometimes STC carry people who are security officers who carry weapons.
STC, yes.
You know that for national safety and for public safety for the passengers, is that not it?
Yes.
When an officer of the state carries a weapon in an aircraft for the same purpose, it will be reasonable that he or she carries the weapon with him or her, is that not it? Rather than keeping it at a place and he will be asked to go for it in times of emergency, is that not it?
Yes.
So who knows Martin? Nobody. Martin declares that I am ABCD, I have a weapon with me. Immigration has a standard procedure. The BNR officers at the airport have a standard procedure, and they are the only ones who know who you are and what you are carrying. It makes life easier for everybody, and that is the standard rule all over the world. There are pastors who travel with personalized executive protection officers. Everywhere they reach in the world, they declare their weapons, and they know who they are and why they must carry the weapon. There are people who come to our country to do specific assignments, and there's a need for them to have their weapons with them. If there's a need to take the weapons from them, immigration and the BNR will do so. If the assessment is done and there's a need to let them hold their weapons, they will do so. And it has never been an issue of endangering somebody or creating public safety challenges for us. So these are personal things we do at the airport or points of entry. She might be hearing this for the first time, and we can understand the apprehension. But these are things we do as law enforcement officers and as people who are used to the gun, and we know the chemistry and the methodology of handling some of these weapons.
Right. And finally, you in your first submission, you said that it seems like this is a subject we have to revisit. Does that mean that maybe because there's been changes at the leadership or the helm of affairs of some of these state institutions, the conversation needs to be brought back so then they can all be aligned to know who is doing what and in what capacity?
I agree with you. And one other side we are not talking about, when it is time for election, politicians bring a lot of weapons through our ports, which might include all points of entry. And they don't allow them to be taken off their surrogates. So that is a conversation they don't want to have, and everybody is dodging it. Yesterday, I heard my brother Adam Bona saying that even if you are a diplomat and you want to carry your weapon and it is not licensed and blah, blah, blah. The conversation, actual conversation, is that during elections, politicians bring a lot of weapons to this country that are not registered, number one, and they don't allow them to be declared. And even if you try to pick them from the points of entry, they turn into powder or for something. So that is a major conversation. And most of the guns we have in the system, if you take the locally manufactured guns, 80% of them might be coming from weapons that came into this country during elections, for which the politicians have lost control and they do not know where the arms are in the first place. So if we want to restart this conversation, dispassionately, we can look at it. But I can trust the immigration guys at the airport. I can trust the BNR guys at the airport, because this is an assignment and this is an exercise we've done over the years, and we know what the rules and regulations and the standard protocols are.
Right. Mr. Kumado, pleasure talking to you as always.
Thank you.
And he's a security and fraud consultant and helping us understand what goes into the carrying of weapons, especially when you are boarding a flight, and then also in what capacity are you carrying it. If you are a security personnel, then clearly there are protocols you need to also follow so that then everybody who needs to know knows that you are the right individual to carry this weapon. If you also do not have that permission or the authorization of carrying these kinds of weapons, there is standard protocol. Just declare it at the airport. It is taken and then handed back to you. But even that, why would you need a weapon on a flight? What role are you playing? So it looks as though, like he indicated, maybe because there's been changes at the helm of affairs of people who head some of these institutions, the conversation needs to be brought back for everyone to be aligned, so we have safety both on ground and in the air. Your thoughts again, I'll always welcome. We share them and are happy to read it. So do let us know what you make of this development and all the big stories we've brought to you this evening on 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hotedition, and I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Now, the other stories we have for you this evening: the Public Utilities Workers Union (PU) of the Trades Union Congress has reiterated its opposition to the privatization and private sector participation in the Electricity Company of Ghana and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company (NEDCO). The union is calling on government to suspend all plans to privatize the two power distribution companies, citing what it describes as the phenomenal performance of ECG over the past 6 months. They think that the current crop of leaders of the ECG can handle the power institution or the power company, so they do not need any form of privatization whatsoever.
The Trades Union Congress and the Public Utility Workers Union of Ghana say the sharp rise in revenue at the Electricity Company of Ghana is clear evidence that the utility company can be turned around without privatization. They stress this is possible if workers are fully supported and management is given clear enforceable targets.
Following extensive tripartite engagements, a 6-month turnaround program was agreed upon and implemented from July to December 2025. The result of the turnaround program has been phenomenal. Verified performance data from this turnaround program indicate that ECG's average monthly revenue collection increased from approximately 900 million Ghana cedis to a record of 1.75 billion. This represents more than 90% increase in revenue collection.
The Trade Union Congress and the Public Utility Workers Union question why government would consider offering guarantees, incentives and policy stability to private concessionaries, why the government is unwilling to extend the same support to ECG under public ownership.
For private sector participation to succeed, the government must provide the very same guarantees and structural support that ECG currently lacks. This raises a central question. If the government is willing to make these interventions for a private firm, why not for ECG?
The group is also calling on government to extend the turnaround program and end all forms of political interference in the energy sector.
The 6 months management union turnaround program must be extended and reviewed comprehensively to determine additional measures needed to scale and sustain the success made so far.
Thank you.
2, while the review of the turnaround program is underway, we urge government to halt all actions toward privatization of ECG and NEDCO. We request the government to take proactive measures immediately to end all forms of political interference in the energy sector, including the management of ECG and NEDCO.
And that report was put together by Noble Crosby Annan. Health security is now a national priority with urgent investment needed to safeguard lives and drive sustainable development. The World Health Organization says Ghana has made significant progress in emergency preparedness since the joint external evaluation began in 2017, but experts warn that more work is required. Let's listen to what's captured in this report.
With a population of over 30 million people, Ghana runs more than 10,000 health facilities across 16 regions and 1,399 sub-districts. From 2018 to 2025, the country has faced outbreaks including COVID-19, cholera, and mpox. Other reported diseases include influenza A, H3N2, Lassa fever, Marburg virus, and meningitis. Assessing Ghana's preparedness to tackling public health emergencies, the Director of Public Health, Dr. Franklin Asiedu-Dartey, says Ghana has built strong frameworks, but gaps remain. He highlights the need for dedicated funding, stronger laboratories, and better equipped points of entry.
Our GE, one is to make sure that we have, I would say, what we call ring fence or set aside funding for health security. And then we also need to make sure that we have improvement in our laboratory. And then you also have to make sure that our port of entries are well equipped. If we want to compare our stand pre-COVID to now, there are obvious improvements in our preparedness. Clearly there are gaps, but we think that we have much more improved than before.
The World Health Organization acknowledged Ghana's progress, but stresses systematic improvements are still needed to close existing lapses.
One of the big challenges that we are seeing is about ring-fencing some resources to be deployed whenever there's an emergency. When it comes to some other aspect, we expect that if something's happening in the community, within 124 hours, the system has to know, and then within 7 days, there has to be action on the ground. So all these needs to be put in place. But in the past, we've seen some lapses in this, which we hope that we can be able to work with the government to strengthen.
Funding partners, United Kingdom, called the joint external evaluation process vital for Ghana's prosperity, urging greater investment and a prioritized approach to health security.
Ghana's health security is also the UK's health security, so we have a really strong mutual interest in supporting Ghana to strengthen its public health emergency preparedness detection. What we'd really like to see is investment in health security, both from domestic funds but also coordinated development partner support. What we'd like to see as well is that coordination across different sectors and ultimately a really prioritised approach to health security that safeguards the health of Ghana's population.
With lessons from past outbreaks and support from international partners, Ghana is positioning itself to better protect its citizens against future public health threats.
And that's it for the program. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. You've been listening to Hotedition on 92.7. It was live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. Do have a pleasant evening.